The Houston Texans started the week with a disappointing performance in Seattle, but they finished the week with a victory against the San Francisco 49ers, 26-15, the final score Sunday at NRG Stadium for the Texans as they get back into the win column and get back on track in a variety of ways. The four big takeaways from this one, and I start with the two things that two of us wanted to see. One of us is all of us wanted to see the resiliency of this team. And then D'Amico Ryans wanted to see their ability to execute the plan. Let's first talk about the resiliency. Look, to stay the course, to say it all week, that they don't feel like they have to make drastic changes. They just have to go out there and after the ball is snapped, play better as each individual out there on the field and play better as a team. And that's exactly what they did. To have a short week and to have a well-coached, well-put-together opponent come to town and to execute. I know there's that dangerous word. It doesn't feel as nasty after a victory as it does after a disappointing loss, but to do exactly what they wanted from a game plan standpoint, both on offense and defense in this matchup, it showed a lot of resiliency from this team to get back on track just a few days after a really disappointing result against the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, think about it. You really lose 2 days of prep for the San Francisco 49ers with that game, and the team didn't look like they had missed a beat all week long. They take care of their business and beat the 49ers in this one. And for D'Amico Ryans, who laid out the challenge this week for the players that, hey, if you do what we tell you to do, if you do what you are coached to do, you will be successful. And for the team to seemingly do that, put together a complete game plan with only a hiccup here or there throughout the course of this one, that's a really good job. It's a good job by the head coach to create the challenge and understand that the team can meet that challenge. If this thing goes a different way, if the reason they don't beat the Seahawks is, hey, the players didn't listen to the coaches, and then they don't beat the San Francisco 49ers, that's one of those situations that could have snowballed out of control for D'Amico Ryans with his locker room. But instead, he keeps that message there. The team executes, which I know, again, is that buzzword they love over there. They take care of their business, and they are able to get a victory in a game where it didn't feel like the 49ers had much of a puncher's chance throughout this one. The Texans did a pretty good job of keeping the 49ers off balance from a defensive perspective early on, put some early field goals on the board. A big play to Jalen Noel put them near the red zone. A few moments later, they're throwing the ball to Jaden Higgins for a touchdown. So they didn't really seem to struggle a ton with San Fran's defense. Got a little aggressive there at the end of the first half that we could talk about another time, and it's something to kind of put a pin in and pay attention to throughout the course of the rest of the season. But defensively, the Texans, they allowed a couple of big plays to kind of set San Fran up to get in the end zone, but that was about it. There was nothing super consistent from the 49ers in this one. So really good job by doing what the coaches told them to do, and everybody just really played much better in this game than they have throughout the course of most of the season when the Texans have found themselves with a loss headed their way. A really well done job from a resilient squad that showed in a short week they get ready for a well-coached, though under-talented opponent. They handled their business, and it didn't feel like this was a team that was ready to go in here and handle their business and really dominate for a good portion of this game, but that's exactly what they did. And D'Amico Ryans was quick after the game to praise the buzzword execution of his team and how everybody did what they needed to do in this one and didn't try to do too much. Speaking of doing what they needed to do, well, check all the boxes for the people that we had been critical of this week. When you think about what CJ Stroud's performance in Seattle was and how he was disappointed with it, he went out there and had a very smooth and in control game. He had maybe a high pass here or there, but for the most part, Stroud was there. There were answers to the equations that the 49ers were throwing at him. He took those answers. He didn't try to do too much. He trusted his offensive line. He was stepping up into the pocket. He used his legs. He was accurate on most of his throws in this one when Stroud gets into that rhythm, when he's feeling it, and when he is well protected, he is very difficult to deal with. The 49ers found that out today, and Stroud was really, really good in this one and operated and organized that offense at a very high degree and then made the throws that he needed to throw. Yeah, you can nitpick here and there, a couple of high throws early, one uncompetitive throw to Higgins later on in the first half, but even Stroud knew, he kind of put his hands on his head. He knew he hadn't quite hit that throw the way that he needed to. And it was all just right back into a rhythm, right back into getting dialed in. That's one of the biggest things about CJ Stroud is if he's in a rhythm, he's really good. How does he respond when he's not quite in that rhythm? Well, he seamlessly got back in to the rhythm a bunch of times throughout this one when things didn't go well for CJ Stroud. So critical of Stroud. Stroud was critical of himself coming out of that one. Boom, check that box. Nick Caley, another guy that was catching a lot of flack from yours truly indeed this week. Felt like he put together a really nice game plan. He wasn't overly aggressive at times. He didn't let small issues turn into larger issues for this offense. And he decided to give CJ Stroud some answers to some of the questions the 49ers were going to give him. And Stroud, of course, took those answers. I thought it was really well put together. And man, that touchdown play to Jaden Higgins was a thing of beauty. Again, kind of like that Baltimore game and kind of like the last quarter of Tennessee, you saw things that you hadn't seen as much when the offense had struggled. You saw things that were absent from performances where you didn't love the offense. You saw some of those things in this one, motion, giving CJ Stroud at least a hint or an indication of what to bring to the table in that play. And they didn't run a bunch of stuff that was unnecessary. So they had guys behind the sticks. They had options in front of it. They didn't get way behind on everything. And I felt like CJ Stroud executed, there's that buzzword again, that Nick Caley offense really well in the game plan to attack the 49ers, who are pretty lightly talented in this one. But that game plan to attack the 49ers was really good. CJ Stroud took care of his business. The rest of everybody else did. They put the rookies in some good positions to succeed. They were getting the ball to Woody Marks more than they needed or more than they had in the past in some of these games. He paid off for them a time or two as well. So it was a really good job by Nick Caley. And then that offensive line. You're going to be watching the offensive line every single week with this Houston Texans team. And this week, coming off of the performance in Seattle where they didn't have a good day, they're rotating left guards. That doesn't make much sense to anybody. And the offensive line goes out there. They move people in the run game. When they weren't moving people, there were lanes for the running backs to make a decision. And the biggest thing for them, for the first time in the regular season in almost 2 years, CJ Stroud started and finished a game where he was not sacked. The last time it happened in a game, the playoff game against Baltimore at the conclusion of the 2023 campaign. The last time it happened in a regular season game, Atlanta in 2023. So an excellent job from the offensive line. Is that a really impressive pass rush that they went up against? No, but we've seen unimpressive pass rushes. We've seen nobodies come in there and give this Texans offensive line work. Guys you've never heard of have come in here and put pressure and been able to get to CJ Stroud and disrupt things, and that did not happen today. And that was one of the absolute best things to occur from this matchup and to occur from this game was the offensive line in a scenario where a lot of times they've been leaky or even ventured into the territory of being a disappointment. They did not disappoint, kept Stroud upright, no sacks. He really even didn't have much danger in this one. There were clean pockets for him to step up in. He stepped up into it, and it was sort of the inverse for the offense of what Seattle was. A chain reaction of bad stuff. It was almost a chain reaction of good stuff. in this one. That moment here for my friends at Sleeper. It's daily fantasy. It's so easy. It's so much fun. You're putting a couple of predictions together. And if you put those predictions together, you get them all correct, you multiply your entry. And right now, people that use my code Stoots, STOOTS, are going to get a free, no deposit required $20 entry. It's a nice way to try out my friends at Sleeper with a free, no deposit $20 entry. You're also going to get the opportunity for that deposit match. Put in 100, get 100. Put in 50, get 100, get 50. You're going to have that deposit match up to $100 when you use my code Stoots, 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 Sleeper, daily fantasy, Sleeper, year-round fantasy in there. It's the best scores app for you. Download the Sleeper app, use my code Stoots. Terms and conditions do apply. When you sign up, use that code Stoots. Get that free entry headed your way. Get that deposit match. Use that code Stoots, STOOTS. Leads me to my third big point. Cyclones, stand up and take care of your business. And that's exactly what Jalen Knoll, Jaden Higgins, and Xavier Hutchinson did. Every catch that Knoll had except for one went for a first down. Higgins had that fantastic touchdown on that perfectly drawn up play and executed play from CJ Stroud and Nick Caley. And then that play for Xavier Hutchinson was one of the best throws that CJ Stroud has made all season long. Hutchinson never even needed to slow down, right there into the breadbasket, takes care of his business, turns it upfield, outruns everybody. Touchdown, Xavier Hutchinson. Those three guys, those are who you're looking to step up in the moments where you don't have Nico Collins, where you don't have Christian Kirk. Those are also two of those three guys, Higgins and Knoll, are guys that you were hoping the team would look to in the previous games, in the games where they couldn't get things going on offense, in the games where they were having trouble finding those players. You were hoping for more of the rookies, and they did exactly just that. They got more out of the rookies today. It's unfortunate that necessity drove them to getting more out of the rookies, but they went and got what they needed out of those players. D'Amico Ryan saying after the game with Jalen Knoll specifically, you're starting to see a comfort level from Knoll where he then showcases what he's done at the college level at Iowa State, now here at the pro level, and deeper into the season as they get more comfortable, as Nick Caley gets more comfortable with them being on the field for whatever the reason they're on the field, Collins hurt or not, Kirk hurt or not, and as CJ Stroud gets more comfortable with those players as well. We should see more performances like this. We should see more trust from the rookies. We should see more targets from these rookies. And it feels like this offense would prefer to spread things out and ride the hot hand and just trust CJ Stroud at the quarterback spot to go out there and do what he needs to do. And that's exactly what they did today. It feels like everybody in the pass game at some point touched the football and got something out of it, including throwing the ball to Woody Marks and what's going on? Let's just dump it down to Woody and see what happens. 50 yards. That's what happened for Woody Marks when there was an let's see what happens moment from the Houston Texans offense. And they just threw it over there to Woody Marks, and he took care of business, taking it 50 yards down the field. Really good job by the rookies. Start with the Iowa State guys. Add in Xavier Hutchinson, who's not a rookie, but he's kind of a young guy that's finally ascended into a spot where you got to rely on him, and he can be relied upon. He's been in that spot a couple times the first 2 years, and that didn't come up for him. It came up for him today in this one. So a really good job by those three pass catchers, really all the pass catchers, and then certainly getting the ball out to Woody Marks in a timely manner and allowing Woody Marks to show that explosion that he has. And I can't say all of this without wrapping it up and praising what the defense brought to the table. Really good defensive performance. Mac Jones, I'm sure, wanted to work things in the middle of the field a lot more. It was messy. Things were tough for him to get over the middle of the field. They had good coverage at times. He had to work to the sidelines a lot of times throughout this one to even think about moving the football, and the pass rush was getting there. Will Anderson early and often, Derek Barnett a little late, including Will Anderson. And really, there were only a couple of hiccups from the defense that got the 49ers even close to the end zone. And it was a big play to Kendrick Bourne on the sideline as the first quarter or the first half, was trying to end. And that only came after a really big kickoff return and a penalty set the 49ers up in a position to take a big shot in that spot. And then George Kittle made a great catch. Azeez Al-Shire was all over him. Kalen Bullock came over a little bit late. Looked like maybe if he goes for the hit on Kittle, he could have dislodged it. He kind of went for the interception. Kittle's able to come down with it for a touchdown. So that was a really good play. And then the other one, MJ Stewart just kind of got a little bit lost, and the 49ers had a good play call, and they got it deep down into Texans territory, and then they're able to punch it into the end zone with Tongas, their tight end, and then get the 2-point conversion. But outside of that, Mac Jones had a pretty tough time moving the football. Christian McCaffrey late got a bunch of yards that are a little bit more empty than the box score would show you. But I thought they were going to have a tough time defending George Kittle, and I thought they were going to have a tough time defending Christian McCaffrey. But they did a pretty good job against both of those players for the duration of this game. One thing to pay attention to coming out of this game, Will Anderson Jr. centric. Will Anderson got his 4th and 5th penalties of the season this week, and he's had some penalties wipe away some good plays. It happened again in this one. They got McCaffrey down on a small gain on 1st and 15, and Will Anderson had that play wiped away because of an offsides. And then later he extended a 49ers drive with a penalty. That can't happen from Will Anderson. He's got a few of these penalties on his resume. You don't want to average a penalty a game if you're Will Anderson. And those are the ones that were called. He had at least 2 situations, maybe more, where he made contact with the head of Mac Jones in this game. And this officiating crew kept the laundry in their pocket. But typically, that gets called, and that would have allowed the 49ers, at the very least, that would have been 30 yards of offense and 2 brand new sets of downs. And it would have wiped away that Kamari Lassiter interception late in the game. So that's something to be cognizant of and pay attention to when it comes to Will Anderson in this scenario and what he's dealing with in some of the pass rush situations, being a little aggressive with being offsides, getting the penalties, and then being very aggressive with the quarterbacks. He's got to reel that in. Mac Jones probably not getting that call. A lot of the quarterbacks that are on the schedule in the next couple of weeks, they're going to get that call. And I have to imagine that teams around the league are letting the NFL know, hey, this Will Anderson guy, he's hitting quarterbacks in the head. You don't want to let that go untouched. You don't want to let that go uncalled if you're the official. So I got to imagine that's on the tape. The lookout, hey, pay attention stripes to the game. So Anderson's got to get that a little bit cleaned up, but he did have that fantastic sack. You can get a little bit more out of Danielle Hunter than what you have been getting, but it's tough to be too critical of the defense when really only 2 drives got any sort of juice for the 49ers in this game. Really good job by them. What are your big takeaways from this one? Let me know in the comment section down below. On your way down there, give me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, don't miss the Locker Room with Landry Locker, SNL with myself and Landry Locker from the Locker Room, the Texans Collective, and oh, so much more. We always appreciate you checking in. However you check in, any of those channels, my channel, this video, the social media, Instagram, whatever. Spankies on Halloween. Don't want to miss out on that. And man, appreciate you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait till we talk Texans again soon.